You are welcome to another video of Juniper Security Associate course. In this section, I will talk about Juniper SRX IDP Configuration. IDP, or Intrusion Detection and Prevention, is a feature to protect network from malicious and intrusions. In this section, we will learn how to download and install IDP signatures, how to configure IDP policy and use them in security policies. As the first point, you may ask, what is the difference between firewall and IDP feature? By Juniper SRX Firewall that we have learned in the previous sections and implemented through security policies, you can configure which type of traffic are allowed or not allowed to be forwarded, but you cannot make sure if they are healthy or malicious. But Juniper SRX IDP feature inspect the traffics to make sure that they don't include known attack patterns which are already provided by Juniper as IDP signatures. As an example, to better understand the difference between firewall and IDP, suppose that a firewall permits SSH traffic, HTTP traffic, and traffic originated from a specific subnet or a specific micro application like Google Maps. But the firewall cannot make sure if the content of this traffic are malicious or healthy. This is exactly what IDP want to detect with the help of IDP signatures. IDP signatures include known attack patterns and they are updated periodically, exactly like antiviruses. Both firewall and IDP are implemented through Juniper SRX security policies that we will see in a few minutes. For the configuration of Juniper SRX IDP, we have to first enable IDP license, download and install IDP signatures, configure IDP policies, and activate IDP policies in security policies. Actually, it's not easy to configure an IDP policy. Because of that, we can use predefined IDP policy template and customize them whenever necessary. This is also what we'll see in this section. For the first step of IDP configuration, you have to make sure that you have the required IDP license with the command request system license at terminal. You can install the license that we have learned in the previous section with the command show system license. You can make sure that the license is installed and valid. As you can see, we have here IDP signature still valid. For the next step, we have to download and install IDP signatures. I've already downloaded, but just to show you, with the command request security IDP security package download. First, we check if the Juniper server is available to download the signatures or not with the check server command. Successfully retrieve from this URL. The version is 3516, and then with the command download, you can start to download the signatures. I've already downloaded, but with a status keyword at the end of this command, you can check the status of download progress. No newer version available or other error. That means it is already downloaded. After downloading, with the command install instead of download, you can install download signature. I've already installed. Again, with a status keyword at the end of this command, that means it is already installed. To configure your custom IPS policy, first we have to create an IDP policy and then activate it in any of security policy rules. It's not easy to create an IDP policy. To see why, let's try it together and then see what's the solution. With the command set security IDP and then IDP policy, for example test rule base IPS set and the rule 1, we can start to configure our first rule of the IPS policy with the name of test. As the security policy match and then keywords are the most important parameters in each rule in IPS policy. With the match keyword, you can match based on source and destination zones, source and destination IP addresses, and source and destination IP addresses except. The except is used when we want to ignore some addresses from being inspected by the rule. For example, IP addresses from NOC or SOC computers. We can also match based on attacks predefined in the signatures or custom attacks. We have to configure match and then attacks and then predefined attacks to see the list of attacks. There are thousands of predefined attacks or attack groups Actually, it's not easy to select between these attacks or attacks groups. The list of predefined attacks group can also be seen with the command show security IDP attack and then attack list predefined group. With this command also you can see the list of predefined attack groups. As you can see, there are many attacks and attacks groups. In a few minutes we will see how we can easily activate existing recommended IPS policy. And then again set security IDP policy test rule base set rule base IPS rule 1, and then with the then keyword we can choose which action must be taken from each attack with the action keyword. For the action, there are some options that is actually not easy to decide which action for which attack is suitable. The most important actions are drop packets and drop connections, which drop a single packet or drop any packets in an existing session. The action close client, close server, and close client and server are another important actions which send TCP reset packets to the client, to the server, or to the both sides. But there is another option recommended, which means for each attack there is a recommended action which mostly is the best choice when we cannot decide which can be the correct action. As you have noticed, it's not easy at all to configure custom IDP policy. Fortunately, Juniper has created some predefined IDP policy templates that we can use them easily in security policies or tune them whenever needed. With the command request security IDP and then security package and then download and then policy templates, we can download the policy template from Juniper website, and with the status keyword after download we can check the status of the download in progress. It is downloaded successfully, and then I can install the package predefined IPS policy template with the keyword install and then policy template, and with the keyword status after install we can check the status of the download keyword. As you can see, the file template.xls is downloaded, and we have to activate this file, which include predefined IDP policy template with the command set system scripts and then commit and then file and with the name of file, and then commit. With this command, actually, we can load the IPS policy template into the configuration. Now, if you use the command set security IDP and then IDP policy in the configuration mode, you will see that there are more than 10 pre-configured IDP policy template in the Juniper SRX. The name of each policy shows the target of that policy. For example, IDP policy with the name of web server must be used to protect the web servers. With the name of other IDP policies like DMZ servers, DNS services, file servers, we can also understand somehow what they do and in which policy they should be activated. With the command show security IDP, you can see the detail of each predefined IDP policy. Without run, for example, in the first rule of web server IDP policy, any packet including attacks, IP critical, IP major, TCP critical, and TCP major are dropped, and the log notification is also generated. Now that we know predefined IDP policies, or we have configured our custom IDP policies, how they can be activated. Fortunately, you can activate IDP policy in the same security policies that we have configured in the previous sections. Therefore, there is a unified security policy for firewall and IPS configuration. For each security policy, you can choose a separate IDP policy from a list of IDP policies to protect that specific traffic. For example, for policy which permit HTTP, you can use an IDP policy which protect HTTP traffic. And for the policy that permit ICMP traffic, you can choose an IDP policy which protect ICMP traffic. To enable IDP policy into unified security policy, we have to use keyword application services. Let's check together. For example, set security policies from zone inside, zone outside, policy permit HTTP, then permit. Here we have to use the keyword application services, and then IDP policy, and then the name of IDP policy must be configured. In the front of application services, there are also another application services in addition to IDP policy that can be activated in unified security policy, like SSL policy and packet capture. As an example, let's activate IDP policy recommended in the first policy permit HTTPS, and then IDP policy, and then recommended, and then enter, and then show compare. As you can see, application services IDP policy recommended is added to the policy permit HTTPS that we have already configured in the previous sections. And then commit. Permit HTTPS is wrong. Rollback 0. Permit HTTPS with capital S, and then show compare, and then commit. To monitor a status of IDP policies, we can use the command show security IDP status, which shows a statistic of packets statistics, flow statistic, and session statistics. As you can see, they are all 0 since we have not generated any traffic.